All right, let's talk about something we all kind of take for granted. You buy a product, right? Say in Tokyo, and then your friend buys the exact same thing in Toronto. How on earth does a company make sure you both get the same level of quality? Well, today we're going to crack open the Quality Management Toolbox and see what makes global business really tick.
I mean, seriously, think about it for a second. It's a massive challenge, right? When you hand over your money for something, you have an expectation. But how does a company, especially a huge one, make good on that promise, time after time, for millions of customers all over the world? The answer, well, it's not magic. It's having a really solid system in place.
And that system has a name, a Quality Management System, or you'll hear this a lot, a QMS. You can basically think of it as the company's official rulebook for quality. And let's be clear, this isn't just about someone at the end of an assembly line checking for defects. Nope. A QMS is this all-encompassing framework that shapes how the entire organization works to keep customers happy and meet all those regulations. Okay, so if you're a company and you want to build one of these world-class systems, where do you even start? I mean, it sounds kind of daunting. Well, for millions of businesses, the starting point is a name you've almost certainly heard of, even if you weren't quite sure what it meant.
And that name is ISO 9001. It comes from the International Organization for Standardization, and honestly, it is the most widely used QMS standard on the entire planet. The best way to think about it? It's like a universal language for quality. It doesn't matter what you make or where you make it, this framework just works.
And don't think for a second this is some dusty old rulebook that never changes. Oh no, ISO 9001 has been evolving for decades. It kicked off way back in '87. Then got a huge overhaul in the year 2000 to be much more focused on the process. And it's constantly being tweaked to make sure it plays nicely with other big standards like the ones for managing environmental impact.
But here's the real magic of ISO 9001. It is incredibly flexible. I mean, that's its superpower. It's built to be this universal framework, so whether you're a tiny little shop down the street or a massive company building parts for spacecraft, seriously, the core ideas of managing quality are the same. This standard can be tailored to fit pretty much anyone.
So what does it actually take to implement this standard? You might be surprised. At its core, it's actually pretty straightforward.
Really, you can boil the entire philosophy down to this simple but incredibly powerful cycle. You say what you do what you say, and then you prove it. That's it. It's all about being deliberate, being consistent, and being able to show your work.
Let's break that down just a little bit more. Step 1. Say what you do. This means you actually have to document your processes. Write down your playbook for how to achieve quality. Step 2. Do what you say. Easy enough, right? Just follow the playbook you just wrote. And step 3. Prove it. This is where you keep records that show, yep, we did what we said we were going to do. It's this constant feedback loop that keeps everything on track.
Okay, now this next point is absolutely crucial because it's a super common misunderstanding. ISO 9001 certification does not mean you have a quote-unquote high-quality product. What it guarantees is that you have a high-quality process for making that product. So why is that so important? It's all about consistency. It's a promise to your customer that says, hey, we have a solid, repeatable system in place. That means the 10,000th widget off our line is going to meet the exact same standard as the very first one. It's all about building trust through predictable, reliable results. But you know, ISO 9001 doesn't exist in a bubble. It's not a solo act. It's actually part of a whole family of standards that are all designed to work together, helping companies manage all the different parts of their business.
Take ISO 14001, for example. That one's all about managing your environmental impact. And since these standards are literally designed to be compatible, a company can weave them together into one single integrated system. So you're managing quality and your environmental footprint all at once. It just makes everything more streamlined and, frankly, more sustainable.
So we've talked about how the general one-size-fits-all nature of ISO 9001 is one of its biggest strengths. But what happens when you're in an industry where the stakes are sky-high? Think aerospace or medical devices, where the quality requirements are just unbelievably specific. Well, that's where the standard becomes a kind of launch pad. These high-stakes industries take the solid foundation of ISO 9001 and then they build on top of it. They add their own layers of very specific, very critical requirements that are unique to their world.
And you see this pretty much everywhere you look. The aerospace industry has AS9100. The automotive world has ISO/TS16949.
and they all share the same DNA. They use ISO 9001 as the backbone, and then they add on these specialized rules for things like safety or super detailed traceability. It's a really smart way to adapt a universal framework for these super demanding fields.
But getting a certificate on the wall isn't the only way to chase quality. Not at all. Let's look at a few other tools you can find in the Quality Management Toolbox, because they have very different goals and ways of working. So on one hand, you've got the ISO approach. That's all about conforming to a clear standard, getting an external auditor to check your work, and earning that certification. But on the other hand, you have these really prestigious quality awards, like the Deming Prize in Japan or the Baldrige Award in the US. These aren't about meeting a baseline standard. No, this is about being recognized as the absolute best of the best, the pinnacle of performance.
But what if your goal isn't just a good system, or even a shiny award? What if you're chasing something that's, well, almost statistically perfect? That's where our third tool comes in. And believe me, this is a whole different ballgame.
Get ready to enter the world of Six Sigma. This was made famous by companies like Motorola and General Electric, and it is a deeply disciplined and data-driven way of doing things. The whole idea is to use statistics to reduce tiny variations in a process until defects are pretty much impossible. We're talking about a goal of just 3.4 defects for every million chances. It is a relentless mathematical hunt for perfection.
And the engine that powers Six Sigma is this 5-step cycle called DMAIC. That stands for define the problem, measure how the process is currently performing, analyze all that data to find the root cause, improve the process to fix it, and finally, control the process to make sure the fix actually sticks. It's a structured, problem-solving machine. You know, it really all comes back to what the legendary quality expert W. Edwards Deming once said: trade depends on quality. It's just that simple. Whether you get there through a certified system, or by winning an award, or by chasing statistical perfection, quality is the fundamental building block of business. And that brings us to maybe the most important takeaway of all. ISO 9001, these big quality awards, Six Sigma, they aren't enemies. They're not competing against each other. They're just different tools in a really big toolbox. A smart company might use ISO 9001 to build a solid foundation for everyone. Then they might aim for a Baldrige Award to really push themselves to be excellent. And at the same time, they could use a Six Sigma project to zero in on one specific nagging problem. It's all about picking the right tool or a combination of tools for the job at hand. So, that leaves us with a really interesting question to chew on. As we move into an era of incredible automation, AI, and just massive amounts of data, what does the future of quality management even look like? How is our definition of quality itself going to change? And what new tools are we going to need to invent for our toolbox? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.